Wake the blank up and get out of the rack. Well, okay, maybe that's a little harsh, but it is April. It is April. It's officially April the 6th. Tonight is the national championship game. More importantly, 3 weeks from now is the NFL draft. And we got a lot to talk about. Damon's been on vacation. Let's fire it up. Let's go. Welcome to Wake the F Up.
I mean, have we officially changed the name of the show? Larry, it's good to see you again. It's funny, I was sitting on the beach with Jillian in Florida. We're talking about a lot of things, a lot of different things, right? And, what we're disconnecting from over the vacation. Put your phone in the drawer. Get away from the world. Good things can happen if you do that. Lots of fun. Boys, sand, surf, Gulf of Mexico, mom, sister. It was great. It was a great little vacation. But I said, here's who I talk to the most. It's my wife, it's my kids, it's my in-laws, it's my mother, it's my three group of friends here, Greg, Ryan, and Dan, the three wise men that I'm in a constant text chain with, and it's you, Kruger. There's very rarely a week where you and I go without talking in some way, some fashion, so good to see you again. I am very proud to say, though, that my streak of major breaking news happening when I'm on vacation kind of gets snapped here. There's not a lot that has actually happened in the last week or so that we've been away from each other, but we are, like you said, 17 days away, baby, from the NFL draft, and it's one of the most fun times of the year. You said it, national championship game. It's Masters week. We got a few other things. Steph Curry's playing basketball again, for goodness sakes. So we got a lot to get into today, man. Great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you. Lot to get to. Of course, the Krug Show brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera, soon to open in Petaluma. Check them out. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're big fans of Pig and a Pickle. And, of course, the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Also, since we last spoke, Prize Picks is now a part of the Krug Show. The Krug Show is presented by Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. Prize Picks is super simple. You just pick more or less on player stats or even game outcomes and build your lineup. It's available in most states, including this one, California. So if you haven't checked it out yet, use code HMA. And when you play $5, you're going to get $50 in lineups instantly. So we will do a lineup before we get out of here, but thanks to Prize
Larry, amazingly, like we're in the same sort of media ecosphere. Prize Picks makes its debut on the Plus tomorrow officially during an 11 o'clock show. So Prize Picks all around. Thank you to my man Ike's. Go get yourself a delicious sandwich. We got some business taken care of right there. I love it. I love it.
Let's just jump right in. We titled this stream, what the 49ers should do versus what they will do in the NFL draft. And I think it's interesting.
You titled it on your side. Mine is miles ahead because I daydreamed about Myles Garrett when I was on vacation. I come back and I also see, Larry, there's rumors out of Cleveland. Something might be happening. So we'll get to all of it. But yes, like you said, here we go. It's draft time, baby.
Well, why don't we start right there with Myles Garrett? I mean, I hit this hard about a week ago when I first saw the rumor, because I'm getting the picture that the 49ers, there's a bunch of edge rushers and they're not sure which one to take. It's a great class. Reuben Bain, Arvell Reese, Akeem Mesidor, David Bailey. Those guys are all probably going to be gone. But then the Niners may choose between Cassius Howell, Keldrick Falk, Zion Young, TJ Parker, R. Mason Thomas, Gabe Yakis, Malachi Lawrence, Danny Dennis Sutton. There's a bunch of guys.
TJ Parker, like they used to say, Larry Walker.
TJ Parker, Derek Moore from Michigan. There's a bunch of edge rushers. So the question is, the Niners may look at those edge rushers and go, you know what? There's questions. Keldrick Falk's really young, didn't have a lot of sacks. Cassius Howell's got short arms. Zion Young is a great player, but he's got some off-field issues. Some people like TJ Parker, some people don't. Some people think that R. Mason Thomas has short levers. Gabe Yakis has got an injury. Malachi Lawrence played at Central Florida. Dennis Sutton is more of a 2-point stance guy, so there's risks. So maybe the Flyers don't want to take those risks and they just want to get somebody who's automatic right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, Larry, any single player that you draft is a risk. And the way I was thinking about it, and I think we were both talking about how this was less likely to happen and sort of a pipe dream the last time you and I talked about it. The one thing that I think everyone can agree on is that there isn't a single player in this draft. There's certainly not a collection of players that the Niners could possibly draft that would be more impactful the very next season that we're talking about here than adding Myles Garrett. I mean, who'd be better than Myles Garrett all by himself? Like, I'm not saying you do the Mike Ditka trade an entire draft class for Ricky Williams here, but there is no even attempt to argue a collection of edge rushers would be better for the Niners next year than Myles Garrett all by himself, who outperformed the 49ers defense all by himself in just the terms of sack totals. So,
but he is 30. I mean, you can't keep 30, short. Right? You can't keep in a sport where depth means everything. You can't keep changing out 22-year-olds for 30-year-olds. You can't keep going young for old. You only have one or two moves that you can make like that before you're kind of done. But I mean, it is interesting because you're talking about a guy who had 23 sacks last year. The Niners have struggled to hit on their first-round picks. By signing Mike Evans and Dre Greenlaw, you're kind of announcing you're in go for it in 26 mode. The Niners are an older team, but they do have the third youngest defense. So, you could argue that they don't need more draft picks on their defense. Their defense is already very, very young. They clearly need to upgrade their pass rush, and they need to upgrade immediately if they want to have any chance to run with Seattle, the Rams, the Eagles, the Bears, and the NFC. The defensive tackles and defensive ends at 27, all, as I just said, come with risks. Caleb Banks has got a foot injury. And then you've got Cleveland. Let's talk about this from Cleveland's perspective for a second. They want, from what I could tell, I called a buddy of mine who works in Cleveland in radio, and he said what the Browns are really after is
Aaron Goldhammer. Was it Aaron Goldhammer?
Oh, no, it wasn't Aaron Goldhammer. But yeah, I have worked with Aaron Goldhammer on ESPN Radio. John London and I did a show with Aaron. Good guy. But it wasn't Aaron Goldhammer. But yes, I called a couple of Cleveland guys. My guy Terry Beacon and a couple others who were out there who just are like, hey, look, the Browns are all about 2027 draft capital because this year they're just going to this year they want to build up their O-line and run the shit out of it and see if they can develop Shedeur. If they can develop Shedeur, they're going to go with Shedeur. But if they can't develop Shedeur, they want to make sure that they have multiple first-round picks in the 27 first round so that they can get one of the 8 to 10 quarterbacks that is slated to go in next year's draft class.
And I really think they're happy with the sink or swim scenario with Shedeur. Like, if he takes off and it works, great. They got their guy. If it doesn't, fantastic. They're going to have a really nice draft pick because they're in a full rebuild mode.
Right. They're in full rebuild. And also they want 27 draft capital. And the Niners, I think if you said how would the Niners want to structure any kind of a Garrett deal? I think they would want to backload it as much as possible. As far as I could see the Niners saying, here's our 27 first, our 27 second, and our 27 third. And, a player, Ricky Pearsall or, Mikael Williams, or, some good player and like 27 draft capital. I know there's a lot of, and maybe it's even 26 draft capital, but I think the 49ers are going to try to offer a package that's centered around lots of 27 draft capital. And I really do believe that, the 49ers, they could sweeten their offer with Trent Williams. They could sweeten their offer with D. Winters, with Ricky Pearsall, with
Brandon Ayuk,
Renardo Green, Mikael Williams. There's Alfred Collins. There's any number of guys that they potentially could sweeten their deal with. The Browns want that 27 draft capital. Then you mix in the fact that you know, you've got really a lot of talk that the 49ers want to have a difference maker up front. Garrett is a difference maker. He's a sure thing. I think there's and then we didn't even mention Mac Jones. Heck, if the Niners wanted to throw Mac Jones in this trade, I mean, there's a lot of belief that Mac Jones is available as well. I don't know if that's the case, but if you wanted to, you could sweeten it with Mac Jones. So there are reasons, if you don't feel like you can handicap the draft, to trade it all for Myles Garrett. And I actually kind of do believe that, I heard Lance Zierlein the other day doing a mock draft, and he's pretty dialed in around the league. And he said, you know what, my belief from the people that I'm talking to is that Myles Garrett's not going to be a Brown. And he had the Browns taking Akeem Mesidor in the draft because he says, hey, they're going to be looking for a replacement for Myles Garrett. Well, so look, that is interesting. I mean, if you're the Browns, Damon, I mean, I'll say this, it's juicy. I mean, it is plenty juicy. And the Browns pick 6 and the Browns pick 24. And so the Browns pick 39. So the Browns already have a lot of 26 draft capital. Here's the question I would have. Is there any way that the 49ers could make a deal for Myles Garrett, Damon, without trading their 2026 one? And I actually kind of think the way the Browns situation looks right now, because they want that 27 draft capital, I think the Niners might be able to make this Myles Garrett trade without this pick in the first round. They might be able to give this year, their first, second, and third next year, and a player, or maybe even something along that line. So I think that's what the Niners are angling for. I think the Niners want to get that first and Myles Garrett. That's my guess.
A second rounder this year, a player, 2 fourth rounders, and next year's first rounder. It's not out of the question. And for those of us, or for those in the chat, and I understand it. Hey, it's 17 days to the draft. We've been picking at the draft like it's, it's chicken feed. We've already picked through it so much. You guys are just looking for something new to talk about. All I'm going to tell you is Larry just talked to somebody in Cleveland, and everything since I've been home from Florida that I've been reading about this, so I didn't feel like an idiot walking off the beach and bringing this up as my first topic with us back together here, Larry. Everything coming out of Cleveland in the last 48 hours is saying that speculation is really growing. This isn't internet smoke. This is out of the Browns facility kind of rumor and innuendo that Myles Garrett, who, like we both talked about, I think 10, 12 days ago, he might have already told them, I'm done with you guys.
Well, that's the other thing. They passed over. He endorsed Schwartz to be the head coach. They didn't go with Schwartz, and then Schwartz resigned. And the guy that I talked to in Cleveland, are the two people, both said, you know what? The one thing we don't know right now, we don't know if Myles Garrett has told the Browns to screw themselves and demanded a trade privately. He goes, the guy said if they hadn't signed him to the big money extension, he might have done it publicly. But the guy that I talked to believes that since they gave him, $160 million over 4 years just last year, that he probably, out of appreciation of that sum of money, would say to them, hey, look, trade me, but do it privately so that they don't lose any and all leverage.
Professional about this. Have all your leverage, get the best deal you can. If I like it, I'm willing to drop my no trade to make it happen. I also understand this is a business. You don't want to piss off the entire city of Cleveland right before the draft. Like it, real G's move in silence, and he is a real G. He absolutely is. And this is a guy who, again, like you said, he's 30. I'll grant you that he doesn't miss football games.
And that's the other thing, Damon. Bosa and Williams, Mikel, are both entering the year. They're not going to practice probably because they're both coming off major injuries. Then you have Bryce Huff's sudden retirement. You have the fact that the Niners had 20 sacks this year, and that, John Lynch, when asked about the draft, said, hey, our priority is defensive front. Well, nothing addresses defensive front more than trading for Myles Garrett.
It is the single. There's one God move available, and that's really it. I mean, that is really it. There is no collection of players you could draft. Cassius Howell and company. There's no collection of players you can draft this year and next year who on the Niners roster have the potential to get to the quarterback and create more pressures and disruption than just Myles Garrett by himself. Then you start thinking about, so it's Myles Garrett, and what do you got? Nick Bosa, Odigizua, Alfred Collins, CJ West. It feels like it would just unlock so much potential across that defensive line. It might cover up the lack of adding players behind them defensively. When you can get to the quarterback with 4, who the other 7 guys matter so much less, and you're telling me one of them is going to be Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw is back in the mix. You still got corners who we like. You got a safety or 2 that you can still get better with. I mean, it's the single biggest would you give up a ton of draft capital for player in the league? Would you add Lawrence Taylor? The answer is yeah, you should probably do that if you can. And for those, again, who are saying you guys are nuts, you're out of your minds, this isn't just complete fabrication for clicks and likes and engagement. It's not. Something could be happening. And if it's not happening with the Niners, you know you don't want it to happen with? The Rams or the Seahawks, God forbid.
Well, that's the thing, Damon. That right there, you know, it's easy to look at this conversation and just go, as a Niner fan, listen to you and I and just go, hey, you know what? A little too rich for our blood. We're going to sit it out.
You guys are crazy.
That isolationist idea of running your franchise does not work when John Schneider is out there potentially adding Myles Garrett. If the Seahawks add Myles Garrett, that's a nightmare. If the Rams add Myles Garrett, that's a nightmare. If the Eagles or Bears add Myles Garrett, that's a nightmare. You have to be in the deal flow. Now, I do want to share the screen because I think it's important for this topic that we kind of go behind enemy lines and kind of get a peek of what the dialogue is on the other side. And I just Googled this. Andrew Berry's on the record as saying that Myles Garrett ain't going anywhere. But here's a blog, and it's only cut for about 40 seconds. Here's a guy in Cleveland who's why Andrew Berry is claiming the Browns aren't trading Myles Garrett. This guy says it's fishy. Listen to this for 30 seconds.
He mentioned Baker a couple shows ago, how potentially they said, well, we weren't going to trade Baker Mayfield. Obviously, that ended up happening. Nick, as of now, Andrew Berry's still pretty clear that the Browns aren't going to trade Myles Garrett, but I suppose anything could change.
There's also just countless examples of this. I think this time last year, we were living through it with Michael Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones repeatedly stating that they were not going to trade Michael Parsons. They got through the draft, didn't they, Ryan, before they ultimately decided to move on from Michael Parsons. Obviously, that was a little bit different. Myles Garrett is under contract in Cleveland. I just, no one yet has provided, including Andrew Berry, who met with local reporters for 30 minutes out there in Arizona before the league meetings. He could not give a straight answer as to, okay, then why'd we rework this contract? Why now? The timing of it is all still too fishy.
There you go. So let's hit that for a second. I'm watching ESPN in real time when the Browns and the Niners have both done the exact same thing. They had a contract date, or they had a bonus date written into the contract, and it wasn't a real deadline. The Niners took their contract date for the gigantic amount of money that they owe Trent Williams, and they kicked it back to August 30th. And a lot of speculation was, man, maybe the Niners are going to trade Trent Williams. Now, John Lynch, last time we talked, Damon, to him, he was like, hey, we're on the verge of something very positive. So it sounds like, from the Niners' perspective, that maybe Trent is going to be here. But it does kind of make you wonder, why did the Browns, Andrew Berry has stated, we're not moving Myles Garrett. But as those guys just stated, they said they weren't moving Baker Mayfield. And you had a theory before that you think that there's a reason why they didn't necessarily state it, or why they're trying to play cloak and dagger.
You don't want to be in front of. You don't want to be in front of that news. You want to come in behind it and be like, here's why it happened.
It would be like the Luka trade if there was rumors. Is that what you're saying? Kind of.
Yeah, it very much so. And I just think that one of my favorite sayings, and I've been saying this for years. I heard it once and I thought that's just freaking brilliant. And it explains how the world works maybe more than any other sentence. Everything is business as usual until it's not. So it's all business as usual with Myles Garrett. But look at the business. Tim Kawakami, regardless of what anyone thinks of Tim Kawakami, Tim knows, don't buy what's being said. Look at what's being done. And you don't go ahead and restructure guys' deals who just ain't going anywhere. You don't look for more flexibility with guys you aren't looking to be more flexible with. So it's not a pipe dream. It's not out of the question. And if we've got evasive general managers, not exactly saying, of course not. Of course we're not trading Myles Garrett. And even if they were saying that, I don't know if you can just believe that and take it on face value. Do the Browns need Myles Garrett to improve their 2027 we're back target?
Well,
Probably
Damon, here's the question that we don't know the answer to. And I suspect that it's not a good answer for the Browns. I think he wants out. I think they're absolutely screwed. I think they've paid him $40 million a year, and he wants out. He wants out. Now, there's people in the chat. Oh, you guys are, making this stuff up. We're not making it up. We're not. First of all, we got a lot to talk about today, and this is not. I'm not rooting for this. I'm not. It's not like I'm sitting here, Myles Garrett. But if you just read the tea leaves, 49ers have struck out badly in the beginning of drafts, right? They've struck out badly. They cannot do that this year. Okay, so they have to hit. If you trade your pick for Myles Garrett, you hit. It's an automatic hit, right? Now, it might be short range. It might be short term because, he's an older player, and that might not be the good move long term. But I do believe that there's a very good chance that when the Browns went with Todd Monken over Schwartz, that Myles Garrett said, I'm done with you. And I bet you anything, if you see the smoke around Myles Garrett should not be there. He's signed through 2030. The general manager said he ain't going anywhere. And yet there's Eagles rumors, there's Niners rumors, there's Seahawks rumors, and you have people like, Lance Zierlein saying, hey, you know what? I don't expect the Browns. He's literally projecting the Browns to draft Akeem Mesidor to replace a Myles Garrett in a trade. Now, the guy that I talked to said they have pivoted from it's all about Myles Garrett and their D-line to it's all about their O-line. And is Shedeur the answer? And if he isn't the answer, are they set up to make a move in 27 in round one? And so I think there might be a deal out there for the Niners and Browns that allows the Niners to trade next year's 1, maybe next year's 2, next year's 3, and a player, maybe this year's 2. And maybe they could get Myles Garrett and still keep their first round draft choice.
Well, and think about
that might be enough to make the deal go.
Let's kind of take the focus off the Browns and put it back on the Niners and their timeline and who they think they are and where they are. They have fallen behind the Seahawks and the Rams, if not significantly. They certainly have.
There's a gap that has to be closed.
Correct. Do you want to take risks, any draft pick closing that gap, or do you want to do something extreme as Kyle Shanahan? You want to talk about not long-term? I think that is a really good way to describe Kyle Shanahan's tenure with the 49ers. It is not a long-term tenure that he has left. I don't think it's absurd. And you and I are both, I think, as on Team Shanahan as, content creators who aren't total house organs can be.
They're year 10 and they haven't gotten the ring.
3 years, Larry. They got 3 years left to do this. And I would rather bet on Myles Garrett and the next year 30, 31, 32 of his career than years 23, 24, 25 of any players that you are drafting who you've got no track record of having any success at all in football. This is the premier defender in the league. Nothing to debate. It's not out of the question to even suggest Myles Garrett should have been named the NFL MVP last year because Stafford didn't have a better year at quarterback than Myles Garrett had at defensive end.
Let's talk about his price tag for a second. You got guys like Mr. Big Daddy Joe here saying Myles Garrett maybe wants out, but the Niners would have to give up 3 first-rounders. That's my point. I don't think you guys are listening to me. The Browns don't have the leverage that you think. Now, they don't have to send him to the Niners, but the teams that are going to be coming after Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons is younger than Myles Garrett. How old is Micah Parsons, Damon? Look that up. He's got to be 26, 27. He's young. He's younger. He has more mileage on Micah Parsons. There's more to the team that gets Micah Parsons left in Micah Parsons' gas tank. How much?
26.
Yeah, he's 26. And I think Garrett's 29, maybe, or is Garrett 30?
He will be 30 this upcoming season.
Okay, so you got a 26-year-old versus a 30-year-old. So you got 4 football seasons is a ton. That's at least half of the deal.
Pardon me, he's 30 now. He'll be 31 December 29th.
Right. Okay, so Myles Garrett's, as you said, guess what? I think you know what Myles Garrett is, Damon? Because you just hit on it and it jogged a thought. You're totally right. Myles Garrett's timeline as an NFL player is exactly tied to Kyle Shanahan's timeline as the head coach of the Niners. He's got about 3 monster years left, and Shanahan's got about 3 really, 3 years left before it's going to be like, bro, you've been here. I mean, Andy Reid was there in Philly for 13 years, and then they said goodbye. So, and he was great. They went to the Super Bowl. They won constantly. They didn't win the Super Bowl. So I would say that's probably a pretty good measuring stick for Shanahan as well. And then Jed said it. Will they even want to be here? My guess is they want to put everything they got into the next 3 years, make whatever run they can make, and then it either happens and they get another deal, or it doesn't happen and they move on.
Right.
But
now
it doesn't go.
Full reset. Full reset where you strip it down beyond
New coach. Yeah. New coach, new GM, new direction, new everything. Heck, who knows? Maybe even a new owner. You never know. So
now you're doing clickbait.
Well, you never know. The way Jed talks, we have this one too, by the way. Keeping the faith. Giants defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade per reports. So Niners don't really need Dexter Lawrence because they have interior guys. But I hear what you're saying. That's good to note. But I think all this talk about, it's going to take 3 number ones. No, it's not going to take 3 number ones because I'm pretty fucking confident that Myles Garrett told the Browns to go F themselves as soon as they bypassed his guy Schwartz.
Well, think about it, Larry.
He's not going to go in there and play for a new coordinator. I bet you anything, Damon. When you don't have money, you want money. He's got money. When you have money, you want everything else. I want to win. I want to be coached by who I want to be coached. But so now he's got the money. So now he cares about who coaches him and if he's winning and all these other things. And the Browns can't deliver those things. They didn't deliver the coach. They can't deliver the winning. And so he wants out. And I guarantee you that when Myles Garrett gets moved, the price tag is going to seem not right because the leverage is not with the Browns.
What's the one thing you've been saying? You might as well put it on a T-shirt and sell it on your marketplace.
Pig and a Pickle is the best barbecue in Northern California. I love my wife. I don't know. What else?
The Niners need
Giants can't hit.
Niners need ferocious defenders.
Yeah.
There is no more. There is no more ferocious defender in this sport than Myles Garrett.
Checks that box.
He's in a photograph of one. Nobody is this guy. So it sounds like a huge impossibility. It's not as impossible as it looks. It really
I don't think the price tag is as high as people think it is. I think most Niner fans are like, nah, can't do 3 number ones. I don't think it's going to cost 3 number ones. I really don't. I think you can get Myles Garrett for a package over a 3-year span that doesn't include 3 number ones. I think what it does have to include, though, is a ton of 27 draft capital. You're going to have to trade your first next year. You're going to have to trade your second next year. Heck, you may have to trade your third next year. But you also got to remember this. The Niners might be willing to make this move now because they know if they keep Mac Jones, Damon, and he signs somewhere next year, at worst, they're going to get an extra third-round pick. So to give the Browns your 27 first, second, and third might seem like a what? But if you're getting a third back from Mac Jones because he walks in free agency at the end of this year, that offsets the price a little bit. And then if you could offset the price even more with a Ricky Pearsall, a Mikael Williams, a D. Winters, a player, an Ayuk, maybe an Ayuk, sending him somewhere that's not Washington. There are elements to this thing that are very interesting. We're not going to devote the entire show to Myles Garrett because I didn't even want to go in this direction with Myles Garrett. But I do think it's worthy of discussion because I do think he's going to get traded. I do think the Niners are in the deal flow. I do think the price tag is going to be quite a bit lower than what you guys are thinking. And so it's an option. So let's get back to go ahead.
He would have to sign off on it, and then we're going to jump off this track, and we're going to talk about other things.
There's
here.
one last thing I want to add. You just said it. You just said the key thing. He's got to sign off on it, Garrett. Right?
Yes.
What has Garrett been in? Garrett has been in a 4-3 wide 9 defensive front. He wanted to stay with Schwartz, who runs a 4-3 wide 9 defensive front. He wants to win. Now he could potentially be traded to the Niners and play for Chris Kasarik on the West Coast in a 4-3 wide 9 front. I think schematically, this is his best fit. I really do.
It makes sense. Let me also wrap up with this.
Yeah.
By the way, like and subscribe. We got nearly 1,000 people across all platforms watching us right now. It's good to be back. Thank you for being back here on Wake Up. Hit that notify bell too, and you'll know whenever Larry and I go live. Thank you so very much. Hit like and subscribe. If you want to get the kid, you got to recruit the mom. Okay, so that doesn't really work when you're talking about grown men. So if you want the grown man, what you got to do is either get the wife or the girlfriend. And this is a good point here. Myles Garrett's girlfriend is Chloe Kim. She's from San Francisco, and
is that true?
She's a Winter Olympian. You can put her right next to Tahoe. She's going to be really happy going up to the Palisades and Squaw and North Star. You put her right where, Chloe in the middle of Cleveland, you're in a plain state. It sucks. You got Tahoe right here. You got all the money. You got San Francisco. It has been freaking gorgeous here the last week or so. So, it's not that
Cleveland.
Great. It's the old famous Tennessee Williams. New York, San Francisco, New Orleans. Everything else is Cleveland. So there you go.
It's a wild idea, but then I think we established there are lots of reasons, competitive reasons, football reasons, coaching reasons, contractual reasons. There was let's just say this.
They're draft right. I don't. I mean, until they do.
Not only that,
they do. I don't.
There was a reason. The one part that I think we don't have an answer to, and Andrew Berry doesn't have an answer to. Hey, Andrew, if he's not being traded, why did you move his bonus? Why did you move his bonus schedule to later in the year? Because you may trade him, and then the team that gets him has to pay the bonus. It was the very first thing when the Myles Garrett bonus date got moved. The very first thing, and Schefter was on the McAfee show, I believe, when it broke. The very first thing he said is usually that's a precursor to a trade. And the only thing that dampened that is that Schefter said, I just picked up the phone and texted Andrew Berry, and Andrew Berry assured me that Myles Garrett is going nowhere. So that kind of put that whole thing to bed, but it didn't really, because it didn't answer why the Browns moved that schedule around. The Niners also moved their schedule around with Trent Williams. That is interesting. I can't imagine that Trent would be part of this, but you never know, because the Browns are looking for a left tackle, and Trent wants to get paid, and the Browns could pay him. There's just no question about that. So does he want to be there? I can't imagine that he does, but that would be, you want to talk blockbuster? If you traded the best offensive tackle for the best defensive end in their prime, that would be something. And a lot of people would say, well, Trent's older. Yeah, but think about it. What does Trent have left? 2-3 years. What does Myles Garrett have left? 2-3 years. You're right. Trent is older, but offensive tackles play longer than defensive ends. They actually probably, if you wanted to say their actual age is different. Trent's older, but if you look at if you judge their age by how much football they have left, I bet you Trent Williams and Myles Garrett have very, very similar amounts of football left.
Well, and look, we all know that Trent wants to be on a winning team, but I think he wants that winning paycheck and guaranteed dollars more than he wants a Super Bowl ring at this point in his career. He really does. I'm not even begrudge him that. I'm not going to say he's a bad guy for wanting it that way, but everything about him says it's business first, success second. So let's see. Let's see. By the way, it's great to have everyone again like and subscribe. The other thing that happened while I was sitting on a beach in Florida is I saw that John Lynch just basically said, look, nothing to see here on the substation. Now, I would, the scientist you pay to come back with that report isn't the scientist I would trust the most. I would like somebody completely independent who wasn't depending on the Niners signing a check to come back with that information. But I also think that more than anything else, what causes the Niners to be injured is the sport of football, other than any electromagnetic situation that may or may not have any less than 1% of difference, whatever. Did you see what Mike Sando came out with in the last weekend or so? Mike Sando, who's a guy I think you and I both really, really admire his work. And he was basically saying that the 49ers injury problems are directly related more to them going into business with players with injury history more than it is any substation anything.
He wasn't saying that. Mike Sando wasn't saying that.
Right. It was what he was reporting.
No, he had an anonymous NFL executive who was ripping the Niners saying, hey, look, they're going to sit there and complain about all these old players and hurt players, but that's what they go sign, and that's why they're hurt. But
the quote is, everyone starts talking about the substation and why are we always hurt? One executive said, it's because you sign hurt players. Mike Evans is going to miss 4 to 6 games this year. Dre Greenlaw is going to miss 8. And you're going to wonder why your players are always hurt. And you look at their big free agent prizes this year. Again, Dre Greenlaw, I guess one of them. Christian Kirk has a little bit of an injury history. And again, Mike Evans, there's injury history there. So, that probably has more to do with it than anything else. Nick Bosa, unfortunately, is now one of those players. Nick Bosa was a guy who had injury history that shut him down his last year at Ohio State. George Kittle is now a name that is in front of a lot of injury reports. Hopefully Christian McCaffrey doesn't have a name that pops back on injury reports. And if he does, the whole party's over, basically, in so many ways. This is a problem. Not to bring it back to Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett's almost never hurt. Never. That guy is not. He plays through pain. He plays through everything. He had a little shoulder. He had a heel. He had a toe. He just keeps coming.
All right. Enough of Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett. What should the 49ers do? Let's get back to reality here.
All right.
What should the 49ers do at 27? What will they do at 27? Do you have a theory as to either? What do you have a strong belief in what they should do? Do you have a strong belief of what they will do?
I have not changed. I have not wavered. There's no new information from over the weekend that makes me think something is different here than going with Max Ihenacher if he is there at 27. And if he is not there, Cassius Howell, I think, is the other name. All of the wide receiver attachment at 27 to the Niners, I understand why it's there. I like Concepcion. I like the kid from Washington that's getting a lot of buzz now, Boston. But we talked about D'Angelo Pons. We talked about Omar Cooper Jr. To me, line of scrimmage is where this team needs to focus, and it's where they have focused so many of their first-round picks. I think that Mike Evans and Christian Kirk being your free agent signings move wide receiver down the board as an immediate need. I can see them looking at wide receiver with one of those 4th round compensatory picks more than I can see them looking at it as a 1st round choice. And I know that there's a lot of people who are mocking this who would disagree with that. And they think wide receiver is going to be the first off the board. I am taking the best tackle available if Trent has gone bye-bye, or Cassius Howell if he is there.
Yeah, I mean, is that so? That's what you would do. Do you have a belief of what you think they are going to do?
Yeah, I mean, when in doubt, you got to look at what they've done to predict what they might do, and they've always looked defensive line. Looking defensive line before you look tackle seems to just be how they operate.
Yeah, they we get to the end of the year and it's like they need offensive line. They need this, they need that. By the time the draft rolls around, it's defensive line. And by the time draft day rolls around, it's like always defensive tackle. It's like always defensive tackle. I'm going to share the screen.
But I do think
this is what I ran into this weekend
last year that they like, and Odigizua being their big free agent move this year, or the trade anyways, excuse me. I think defensive tackle, again, like signing Mike Evans and Christian Kirk, moves down the board of immediate need.
See, I don't, because they also got rid of Kalia Davis. They also got rid of Jordan Elliott, and they really value this spot.
He's tossing offensive line.
Here is a guy that I want.
I'd like to see
He's built the right way. The fact that he plays nose at 310 pounds for Georgia is kind of shocking. But I think he can play a little bit all over the line. He takes on double teams really well, where he'll literally drop a knee and
okay, let me just drop it. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger so people can see it. There it is. Okay, so this is a scout that is a big fan of Kristen Miller,
Georgia,
the Georgia defensive tackle. Watch this. Listen to this.
Mikael Williams loves.
This is Mikael Williams' buddy, but also there's a lot to like about this player.
He's tossing offensive linemen off of him. He's built the right way. The fact that he plays nose at 310 pounds for Georgia is kind of shocking. But I think he can play a little bit all over the line. He takes on double teams really well, where he'll literally like drop a knee and anchor down, and he's just not getting moved. He's tough as hell. Defensive tackles naturally do a lot of work that goes unnoticed, but for Christian Miller, I think that he's able to do that with such tenacity and high effort. It's why I've fallen in love with him as one of my favorite prospects in this draft class, and why I think he deserves to be a first rounder, even if he ends up going day 2. He's tossing.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about Kristen Miller going day 2. Now, let me give you my quick thought on this. I think this is the guy the Niners want. And I just, this is just a hunch. I don't have a source on this. Nobody's saying anything about the Niners drafting Kristen Miller, but he is good buddies with Mikael. Lynch was at his pro day in Athens. Lynch did say defensive front when he was asked about the Niners' top draft priority. I think the 49ers are going to go heavy on the defensive front. And I was like, the same reason I don't think they're going wide receiver or offensive line. I think they're going defensive line. I really do. I think they're going defensive tackle here with Miller. And then I think they're coming back in round 2 with an edge, Derek Moore, Dennis Sutton, Malachi Lawrence, something like that. And I think this is the way they're going to go. John Lynch was in Athens. He was either there for CJ Allen, who he could have been there for the linebacker, but my guess is that he's here for this guy who Mikael loves, who is a great run defender, who's got big time talent. He's healthy. They lost Kalia. They didn't lose these guys. They kissed them off. They voluntarily said goodbye to Jordan Elliott, Kalia Davis. They want to change their front. The backup, like if you get Ian Acher and he doesn't play guard, he won't play this year. He literally won't play. If you get a guy like Kristen Miller,
if you Trent is gone,
well, yeah,
he might.
Trent's gone. But if Kristen, but I mean that the guy played right tackle, and he's a tackle. Okay, if Trent's gone, he'll start. If Trent's not gone, he won't play, and he won't play. It's not like he's not going to play much unless he can play guard. He won't play at all. So that's something that I think the Niners are not going to do. I don't think they're going to draft a player who does not play this year. If they draft Kristen Miller is going to play. He may start, but he's definitely going to play because you play your defensive line in a rotation. So the Niners in the history of the Niners, I've been watching them. They always draft defensive tackles. Dennis Brown, Ted Washington, Dana Stubblefield, every different regimes. They always go defensive tackle.
They just drafted 2 last year.
But you know what? You play 5, and they only really have 2. So I don't think they're good. I mean, what are they have 3 now. They have 3. They have Osa. But I could see them going Kristen Miller. I really do. It just seems why? Because the Niners they don't want bad guys. They don't want soft guys. They want healthy guys. They want guys who are athletic. This guy checks the boxes. He's a good guy. He's super athletic. He's healthy. He plays. He's great against the run. He's got upside against the pass. He's really tight with Mikael Williams, who's going to be a key figure on their defensive front, you would think as well. I just think tackle, a difference-making interior tackle that plays in a rotation up front, who you can use in a bunch of ways, and then an edge in round 2. We'll see. If you said to me, what do I think they're going to do? I think that's what they're going to do. Now,
well, just getting back to that Georgia Pro Day, I think that there are 2 fourth-rounders there that John Lynch might have been looking at, too. Tight end Oscar Delp being one of them.
Maybe.
And Zachariah Branch or Dylan Bell being one of those 4th-round playmaking kind of gadget guys that Shanahan loves.
I mean, I don't think you would get on a plane to go out there for your 4th-round pick. But I do think that you might consider going out there if you were going to take Kristen Miller in the 1st round, or C.J. Allen in the 1st round, and come back with another Georgia guy later. And there's a bunch of guys. Georgia's got a ton of guys.
I mean, it's a Georgia Pro Day. You're going out there for a lot of reasons, right? I
Right.
mean, that's just.
But I mean, I don't.
The pipeline you keep open.
Yeah, there were other pro days he could have gone to, and typically teams do like to go to the pro day if they're 1st-round draft choice. So we'll see. But that's my theory. If you said, what do you think they're going to do? I think they're going to stay at that spot and take Kristen Miller.
Your camera just knocked out there, Larry.
Yeah.
I think trading back is also very much a possibility. I really do. I think trading back is something that could absolutely happen. I also saw today on ESPN as they're going through all right, let's get nuts with what could really happen in terms of trading. ESPN says if this draft board comes to the Niners, they might trade up with the Eagles, is the argument of this article. The Niners would trade up to 23. The Eagles would get 27, and then 2 of those 4th-rounders, 127 and 133. And the write-up on this is the Niners are in a unique spot. They don't have a 3rd-round pick after trading for Osa Odigizua. John Lynch's team has 4 4th-round picks, all between 127 and 139. I'd expect the 49ers to use some of those picks while they jump around the first 3 rounds of this draft, either to move up or as a package to get back into the 3rd round. In this scenario, they're trying to jump teams that they're thinking about with edge talents and wide receivers. The Eagles aren't in the market for a wideout yet, but the Browns, Bears, and Bills could at least look forward to an option at wide receiver. The 49ers are thinking about moving on from Brandon Ayuk. A.J. Brown could be in play if the Eagles move him. And they're saying that the Niners moving up to 23 and taking Denzel Boston out of Washington is what they're predicting here. Again, I don't know if I buy it, but this is what ESPN cranked out today.
I mean, that I would not be in favor of that.
I would not. No, I'm not trading up for Denzel Boston. I don't even like
this.
Denzel
Would be
Boston.
So Niners if they did this. They almost traded up last year for Mikael Williams. They fall in love with 1 or 2 players and then they trade up to get those guys. I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not the case. Now, are they saying? I think that's interesting. So the Niners would trade up with the Eagles, and they're saying A.J. Brown could be traded, but they're not saying that A.J. Brown would be part of the trade.
No.
Because I could see the 49ers, if they were going to add a receiver, since they're trying to win now, I could see them trading, I could see them adding an A.J. Brown. I mean, he's a win-now player. If you're trying to win now, do you really want young receivers? If you're trying to win now, do you really want Denzel Boston or do you want AJ Brown? You know what I mean? I also don't believe, I think that's a smokescreen. I think if the 49ers traded from 27 to 23, it would be because Venga Owani fell. I don't believe the guard from Penn State, who's, he could go anywhere from 14 to the Ravens to 22 to the Chargers.
I don't see the Niners trading up in any scenario, Larry. I don't
either. I mean, I would be very disappointed if they have. Why? Because they are shitty at trading up for guys. Go look at the guys that they've traded up for. They traded up for Dante Pettis. They traded up for Jalen Hurd. They traded up for C.J. Beathard. They traded up for Joe Williams. They traded up for more donkeys who cannot play than anybody. This is what they should absolutely not do is, be super impulsive and give valuable day 3 draft capital away to one of their rivals to get up 5 spots to take a receiver that probably should go in the second round. I'm not a Denzel Boston guy. Did he even run? What's his 40 time? I mean, I don't want no more players who don't run 40s. Screw you and your GPS. I don't care about he was running 22 miles an hour. Oh, Trey Lance was running 22 miles an hour. And when he got on the fucking football field, he was slower than Kyle Juszczyk.
Well, I mean, here's what Denzel Boston is. He's 6'4" with 11 touchdowns last year and an average of about 14 yards per catch. He's a good player. He's a big body. There's no doubt that he is.
Yeah, big body doesn't mean shit. There's tons of big bodies. There's a lot of big bodies. I can go to last year's draft and tell you about big body receivers. There's all kinds of big body receivers that suck. There's all kinds of receivers that don't separate. I don't care about his big body. I care about, does he separate? And he doesn't separate. He doesn't separate from defensive backs. That's a major problem. The fact that, here's the thing, Damon, guys who can jump. Guys who can lift. Guys who can run. Guys who can't do those things don't. And Denzel Boston hasn't. So there's no way in the world I would ever endorse a trade up for Denzel Boston, even though he's got collegiate production. There's other guys who have collegiate production who I mean, I'm looking at I think Denzel Boston should go around pick 40. That's where he belongs.
Here's the thing. He didn't run
round 2.
He didn't run the 40-yard dash at the combine or his pro day.
Right.
What are you hiding? What are you worried about?
Right. You're slow. Stop drafting slow receivers. You know what? I just watched the 49ers have the least separation at wide receiver that I've ever seen in watching all 22. And you're going to turn around and draft a receiver out of Washington who, yes, he scored 11 touchdowns, but he didn't run a 40.
It would be like a Juwan Jennings replacement. It'd be like replacing Juwan Jennings with Juwan Jennings, a younger version of Juwan Jennings, which again
big risk.
Can be productive in the red zone, but isn't what this team needs right now.
I don't. God, I hope that's not true. I mean, if that is the way it comes down, that is going to be hugely disappointing, I think, because I just don't think that guy is that good of a player. I'm going to read you a couple quotes here from Max INH's scouting report. Listen to this scouting report. I call him, this is one scout said, started, okay, let's see. Where's the quote start? He just needs to play more. He started 5 games in 2023, started at right tackle in 24, left tackle in 25, played right tackle at the Senior Bowl. Good for him if he went to the Senior Bowl like a job interview and took advantage of it. I call him a tease because he helped himself at the Senior Bowl, but the film was so inconsistent. You saw an athletic, dense body, physical at times, but my concerns with him were his instincts, and that leads into smarts. If you're a little bit of a slow reactor, then you can't take advantage of your talent. I had a hard time with the film. What happened here? He'll go 4 or 5 plays, and you're like, what is this guy? You have to figure out if you like him or if you love him or if you're nervous about him. Athletically and physically, I like him. He just has a hard time consistently putting it all together. Let's see. There's one more.
Again, he's a guy who started football late in his life, right? You know,
right.
I mean,
he didn't play high school football. He says whether it's mental or physical, mental toughness or not, I don't know. The arms were 33 and 7/8. He says the more you watch him, the more you fall in love with him. A third scout said he's not going to be a great pass blocker. He's not the athlete that Fano is, but he does a lot of good things. Down blocks, he can pull and get out in front of.
Right. Well, I'm saying, by the way, I'm saying I nature because I think that Fano and Freeling, obviously, and Proctor and the other kid from Utah,
Lomu
are off the board.
Right. But I mean, what I'm saying is he can pull and get out in front better than you would think just watching him move around. He's not an elite foot athlete, but he can get in the way. He's a second or third round pick. And then the scout said, I'd take Lomu. Another scout says he's new to football and he plays like it. These guys are always hit or miss. And how long will it take? And if he'll get it, you can see the ability, you can see the flashes, but he just plays raw. You just don't know the background, the learning, the work ethic, and whether you have confidence that's going to develop. He's off balance a lot. The hand placement is wide. He doesn't seem to pick things up quickly and visually. He is a classic Senior Bowl guy. Everything's kind of dumbed down there. Those kinds of guys shine. It's easy. You don't have to learn much. That's why it isn't a valuable proving ground. He'll be a second rounder. If you do the background and the learning and the toughness, then you say, all right, he's worth a shot. So, I mean, this guy played basketball and soccer and came to football in junior college. So, I hear what you're saying. I just don't think that every team can't take the same risk that every other team can take. The 49ers have missed so badly, so consistently in the first round, and so desperate to get a player that can contribute right away, that to me, to take the rawest, biggest swing. I mean, I love this kid's talent. He's 6'6", he's 330, he's lean, he looks awesome. But these are the scouts who watch this. And when they're saying he's not going to be much of a pass blocker and that he's really raw and that these guys are hit and miss, and I totally agree with him, I don't think this is the Niners guy. To me, I would much rather take Austin Barber, let's say, out of Florida in the 4th round, who spent 5 years in Gainesville and started 50 games and is tough and physical and steady and efficient. And you know what I mean? He's been a left tackle and he can play either side. And he was a 4-time all SEC honor student. And he was, there's just that to me is a far safer pick.
Well, a guy
smart,
like
tough,
Miller out of
experienced, efficient, day 3 tackle and Barber out of the SEC over the ASU kid with the crazy draft profile. And that's kind of the other guy that I think is going to fall in the Niners' lap is Jordan Tyson, the receiver from ASU. They're saying that he's going to fall in the Niners' lap. And there's very, very high likelihood that Jordan Tyson, who a lot of people think is the number 1 receiver, might be there in this draft at 27. So I would say that's going to be the biggest challenge for the 49ers. Can they resist the big, high risk, high reward swing? There's tons of busts on receivers. And there's also, there's tons of busts if you go for like super raw players. And the Niners could be staring at literally the best receiver with flaws whose scouting reports look ugly at times, and then the best offensive line prospect who is a major risk. And I just think they need to go a little bit safer, a little bit more conservative. If it was up to me, I'd rather trade back and take D'Angelo Pons and have a for sure great player who might be an inch or two short than, a guy who might be the best tackle we've ever seen. Or he also could be just a total bum.
Right. Out of the league in 3 years because he didn't figure it out.
Right. It's just, I agree. Like the Eagles, I think could take that risk because they have Jordan Mailata. They have Lane Johnson. They don't need anybody right now. The 49ers, I don't think they can take that level of a risk.
Well, then let's get past risky draft guys, even though the draft is in 17 days and we love talking draft here. There are 3 free agents that are still on the board that have been connected with the 49ers. 2 of them address defensive line, and one of them is Deebo Samuel. I think we're both out on the concept of Deebo, so we don't even really need to go over that. Jadeveon Clowney or Joey Bosa. You got to spend maybe about $10 million to bring in one of those guys. Maybe 8, maybe 9. I don't know. Clowney or Bosa, who would you be more interested in having?
I mean, I do like them both. I mean, Clowney has never been your prototypical edge rusher.
No.
You know, he rushes off the
guy.
A gap. He
He's
can be everywhere.
He can plug and play anywhere.
Yeah, but he doesn't typically he's not that body lean guy. He's never quite had that. But he's also been very, very effective blitzing all over the place and you know, rushing from all over the place. So, and he's coming off a good year, and obviously
it's funny. He's oddly stuck between decent production and underwhelming career based on, you know, the reputation coming out of college.
I don't want to. I'll say this: I don't want to take a chance on any more veterans off other teams that I don't know their work ethic and I don't know their passion. I know what Joey Bosa's about. I know Joey Bosa's a technician. I know he's going to play super hard. He's going to be in great shape. You know, and his motor revs hot. He had 6 forced fumbles last year. Where Jadeveon Clowney has had some down years. He's had some teams. You know, I'm always worried. It's like the Steve Wilkes football card. It's like Steve Wilkes. When I looked at his coaching resume, I was like, oh my God. And I was like, he had literally 20 different jobs in like 25 years. In like 25 years in coaching, he literally had 20 different employers.
Think about
it's a lot.
Jadeveon Clowney's disappointment comes with underproduction. Joey Bosa's disappointment comes in with a lack of availability.
He's hurt a lot. But
which would you rather take the risk on? The guy who might not be there at all, or the guy who might be there yet really not show up?
I just think that Clowney might. I like Bosa more. I think Bosa. I like Joey Bosa more because I think Joey Bosa can do what the Niners want. He can be he's 270 pounds. He can be an edge setter. He can be an edge setter on first and second down, and I think he can actually hunt quarterbacks on third down. He's going to cost you maybe $1 million or $2 million more than Clowney, but I think I would do that. As far as all three of these guys, I'd wait till after.
You get a better Nick Bosa with Joey on the team.
Well, I just like the idea of having them both. And I think Joey does check a lot of boxes, but all three of these guys, whether it be Debo, Clowney, or Bosa, I wouldn't sign any of them right now. I would go into the draft and see what I could do. And if I can, you know, you never know. The one thing about the draft, if you do it right, you got to play it the way it comes to you. And there's no guarantee what you're going to get. So maybe you want a defensive end, but it just doesn't work out. Then, you know, if you come in out of the draft and you have not gotten a defensive end, yes, then I want Clowney or Bosa. But if you come out of this draft and you don't get a wide receiver, I still don't want Debo.
I don't want Debo either.
There's no reason for Debo. I actually kind of think, though, one of the comments in the chat we got in here is like, hey, you know, I'm still waiting for Renardo and, you know, Pearsall to be traded. I shared that with you guys that a Niner insider told me in the playoffs that he thought there was a very good chance that they were going to trade both those guys. The Niners have come out since and said that Raheem Morris really likes Renardo Green, that they want to keep Renardo Green. So Renardo Green's not going anywhere. But it does kind of make you wonder about Ricky Pearsall. If the Niners are really still, I mean, why am I wondering about Ricky Pearsall? Because there's only 5 or 6 wide receiver spots on a team. And the Niners already have brought in a couple veterans. They got a couple young guys. They still have Demarcus Robinson, and they brought in Omar Cooper and all these like 3 or 4 different receivers on 30 visits. These are first-round receivers that they're looking at, that they're bringing in for 30 visits. So if you're going to take Omar Cooper, you know, whether it be in round 1 or round 2, somebody ain't going to be there. And that somebody is most likely to be Ricky Pearsall because somebody's not going to be there. We know they like Cowing and Watkins. And those guys aren't, those guys have no value. So there's no real, if you're not, those guys don't have anything that you're not getting anything for those guys.
Here's
The
the thing.
only receiver that you have that would fetch anything would be Ricky.
Right.
So if you're still looking for a receiver at this point, I got to question whether Ricky's going to be on the team.
I just think he's locked in on the rookie deal. He's young on an offense that needs to get younger. I think that they do like him. I think that they can point to his when healthy production. They're not upset with the production that they've got from him outside of he hasn't seen the end zone too many times. There's something to mine there. But at the same time,
that's also why other teams would want him.
Right. There is an allure to Ricky Pearsall, and the allure is still the unknown, and that could benefit the Niners in one of two ways. They either finally untap his potential because he gets healthy enough to figure it out and play, or another team wants to give you what would Ricky return? A fourth? They already got 4 of those. A third?
No, I mean, I think Ricky could give you. I don't know. Actually, that is a great question. I don't know what Ricky is worth. Ricky could be worth a player that also needs a change of scenery. Ricky could be worth a third
beauty's
round
in the
pick.
eye of a beholder evaluation.
He's not worth a first, that's for sure. And he's probably not worth a second. At best, I'd say he'd be worth a third at best.
Oh, I mean, I think that would look at it this way. If you're going to give me a third for Ricky Pearsall, I'll do that trade today. I think a third is out of the question for Ricky. Probably, yeah.
Well, see that makes no sense. Then there's all why is he such a why are people always so bent about trading him if all he's worth is a third round pick?
Well, I think
I'll say this. I also think we haven't got to it yet, but I think the Ayuk thing is very interesting. If you said, what do you think the Niners get for Ayuk? I really believe that they could get Luke McCaffrey. And then there's another reason to move a receiver. If you acquire a receiver for Ayuk, I mean, we're just assuming Ayuk's got the door, but if they wind up getting a receiver for Ayuk, like McCaffrey,
well, let me ask you this. I think I saw a headline. I didn't really click on it when I was on vacation, but did Jed York leave a door open for a possible Ayuk return? That just feels far-fetched to me. Like, if that guy could come back this year and he wasn't there to come back in the playoffs last year, how could you ever trust him ever again?
Damon, it's all about trade posturing. I mean, like, he basically said they asked him a question and he was like,
yeah, we still.
He's like, he said, like, look, he's a good player and we love him. It's obvious. It's just a lie. It's lying season. And Jed just said, like, hey, he could be here. I think that's just their way of. That's just, first of all, Jed is not. He's not. I mean, he's somewhat disconnected from that. But I personally just think that that
was there
there's no
proof
doubt.
of the disconnect? By the way, did Jed think that John Lynch tampered by talking about Christian Kirk not having realized that trade had been consummated? Did that happen?
No, Jed just referenced that he didn't know about Christian Kirk.
Okay,
which why should he? Why should Jed know about Christian Kirk? I mean, this is the part of why I bang on Joe Lacob. Joe Lacob would have known about Christian Kirk, but that's his detriment. That's his downfall.
Right.
That's why his team sucks, because he wants to be Jerry Jones. Where Jed is a better owner. Jed's not going to sit there and try to be. Jed's not going to try to draft guys in the 4th round. Jed's not going to sit there and be like, I'm a businessman, but I know football. No, but see, Joe is going to be like, I am a basketball guy, but I'm this basketball. I'm a businessman, but I'm a basketball nerd. So I'm just going to force myself and my kids to have a say in basketball things by firing all the actual credible basketball people.
Sort of like go back onto how we got here and maybe the evolution of Jed, and a good early failure in his career was maybe one of the better things that happened to the Niners on the field. Was Jed was solely responsible for like getting emotionally excited about Mike Singletary and basically hired him in a locker room. I love you, Mike. You're our guy now. And then that just fell flat on its face as humanly possible. And I think that was sort of the Jesus that Jed needed to meet for him to be like, even though I went to Notre Dame and I think I know football, I really don't know what the hell I'm doing here, and I'm just going to get out.
Sided with Balky over Harbaugh.
Right.
I mean, what the hell? I mean, come on. Who nobody in football would have done that. But Jed's out of the football decision-making game. Jed doesn't want to draft. Jed doesn't dream of making fourth-round picks, where Joe Lacob has his own board of second-round picks.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, that's the difference. Joe.
By the way, we've got a couple of other things that aren't Niners related to talk about here. I would like to talk to you about just a little bit, Larry. So do you want to get into some supers here? You want to go through those, or have you got one more Niner thing that you want to put on the table before we get off them today?
Well, let me see if I have one more Niner thing.
Let me give you one more Niner thing, basically. It was good to see George Kittle rehabbing. He was up on a treadmill, one of those, lifts your weight. So he's not putting his full body weight on that Achilles, but George was really, starting to rehab that Achilles on a treadmill. I shared that on a YouTube short over the weekend. So that's some good news. I don't think we're going to see George in any significant role this entire upcoming season. But who knows? Medicine and science get faster by the day. They really do. So we'll see what, if George Kittle couldn't make a late December, early January, hey, I'm here if the season is going really, really well appearance.
That's another question. It's like, what do you do at tight end? I mean, to me, I think, you've got to pretend that George. I mean, Brock Purdy, you don't have JJ, you don't have Kittle. I mean, you're not going to be good if Brock Purdy has no weapons. So you can't just say, well, we got Tom.
Brock needs a tight end. Brock hunts tight ends.
He's got to have a tight end. So there's no question that tight end is going to be a need. And, they got a bunch of needs. I mean, that's the other thing, too. The 49ers have more needs than they have picks to fill those needs. So will they add extra picks? Will they hunt in free agency? Will they make a trade? I mean, it's all they're looking outside. I do have one more on the Niners, though.
Okay.
I'm going to share the screen on this one. One of the stories of the weekend was an unbelievable. I mean, there are very few people that get me like, whoa. And yet this thing got me like going, whoa. And that is this prospect that they pulled out of the NFL pathway program from Nigeria.
Oh yeah,
Niners want to
40 type or the I saw the jump, the vert.
Here he is running, and he looks slow, but this guy ran his name's Uwar Bernard from Nigeria, and the Niners are one of the teams showing interest in him. He's 6'5", 306 pounds. He was discovered at an HBCU showcase event. They tested his body fat. He's got 6% body fat, 39-inch vertical. He ran 4.63 in the 40, 10.10 on the broad jump, which would have been number one of all defensive tackles at the combine. And it was 14 inches longer than any other defensive tackle jumped. And he's a freak this is one of the freakiest athletes here. I mean, people that are covering the NFL who have covered the draft for a long time are like, this is the greatest athlete I've ever seen. Uwar Bernard, the 49ers, according to Ryan Fowler, are one of the teams interested in him. Heck, Damon, I don't think this guy can play. I wouldn't invest a draft choice in him. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But man, if Chris Kasarik thought he could turn this guy into something, this guy would be worth a nice, aggressive signing bonus as an undrafted player just to get this guy in camp. I mean, 6'5", 300 pounds, 40-inch vertical, runs in the low 4.6s. I mean, this guy runs faster than Dwight Freeney coming out of Syracuse. And Dwight Freeney was like 270. This guy's 35 pounds heavier, and he runs faster than Dwight Freeney. Now, I don't know if he can play football. My guess is he can't. My guess is he probably can't play dead.
I mean, look, coach up Sebastian Valdez better before you reinvest in a total raw thing of clay. But the raw mound of clay sure is impressive.
It's a once in a lifetime mound of clay. I mean, it does make you kind of wonder what, and by the way, we mentioned this before, but we might as well share the screen because it looks like it's becoming kind of a big deal here. But Schefter is reporting this morning that here we
Dexter
go.
Lawrence.
ESPN sources, Giants All-Pro defensive tackle has requested a trade, that he will not be participating in the OTAs that open Tuesday, and the Giants have been through 2 off seasons attempting to negotiate a contract reflecting his value to the Giants over the last 3 years. There hasn't been any progress, according to sources. This is interesting. I wouldn't even begin to know what the market for Dexter Lawrence would be, but he's a tremendous defensive tackle. Can
It just feels like that it's such a not John Harbaugh move, right? I mean, what John Harbaugh values defense. He values defensive linemen. I mean, Matabuke is one of the better players in Baltimore, and he's kind of in the same realm as Lawrence. Lawrence probably better. I mean, how about this? There's gonna be a lot of people standing in that Dexter Lawrence line if he's really up for trade.
I mean, lots of people are going to want him. I'm a little surprised that he wants out, considering they just hired John Harbaugh, and it makes you think, this guy doesn't want to be there for that. He wants out now. I mean, you're going to play for Joe Shane and Dable, but now you get Harbaugh there, and you're like, hey, get me the hell out of here. That seems a little odd, does it not? That he would be like so eager to leave now.
Yeah, it feels like for the first time, legitimately, the New York Giants have an upward arrow, right? Is it out of the question to think that the Giants can flirt with a playoff spot? If Washington doesn't come on, if Dallas is just Dallas again, you're dealing with the Eagles and maybe the Giants in the NFC East. So the timing on all of that feels very, very odd. Again, this is also, it's call my bluff year. It's call my bluff season. He's not coming to training camp. Well, we better get some shit done then. Maybe the Giants do, maybe they don't. I think that there's a better chance they renegotiate with Dexter Lawrence than move him, right? That'd be a silly move.
Doesn't seem like they're going to move him, but you never know. I mean, this is a team that said goodbye to Saquon Barkley and watched him go to the Eagles when their owner was like, hey, just whatever you do, please.
Don't trade him to the Eagles.
As long as he's not an Eagle, I'll be really happy. And then, of course, 48 hours later, he's an Eagle. And unbelievably, Joe Shane is still the general manager there.
Right.
And
Barkley has one of the single greatest running back years in the history of the position.
This is Chase Sr. who's put this out. Jordan Tyson is the perfect 49er draft target if he falls. Torn ACL, MCL, PCL, and multiple hamstring injuries. So that's the other kind of wild card in this draft as it gets closer.
Was he being sarcastic there?
No. See, Jordan Tyson, the Arizona State wide receiver, who was 4th in the nation in yards per catch as a freshman at Colorado, and then is obviously in this draft, is falling down the draft boards. Another guy that hasn't run a 40 time, but he runs well. I mean, you can tell he runs well. But Damon, this guy's interesting. He tore his ACL at Colorado. One scout said he's really good. Somebody needs a receiver. You're going to look hard at him. I'd say he goes between 20 and 30. He blocks. He can run routes. He has great hands. He's just a competitor. He's fast. He can hit home runs. He's the whole package. All right. But he did break his collarbone in 2024. Sat out 3 games last year with a hammy. Still hasn't worked out for scouts. A second scout said he's the best receiver in the entire draft. His Achilles heel is his durability. He had something every year. He's not soft. It's legit injuries. At minimum, talent-wise, he's a number 2 wide receiver. He's a starter. He has it all. Size, athleticism, hands, route run detail, run after the catch. He's fast enough. I don't think he has – third scout says, I don't think he has first-round traits. He's got adequate size and speed, adequate speed. He'll catch the heck out of the ball. There were times he would disappear. Then all of a sudden, him and Sam Levitt would get together. They'd go boom, boom, boom and score, but there's nothing about him that's exceptional.
Again, I go right back to the Sandos story about if you're wondering why the Niners are injured is because they sign or draft too many players with injury history.
Well, this guy, but here's the question.
Red flag, Larry. Red flag.
Would you draft a receiver who was considered the top receiver, who's coming out of ASU 2 years after you took Ricky Pearsall out of ASU, and he hasn't really done much for you. This is another scout. He says,
by the way, your video's down, Larry.
Okay, I'm having some tech issues. There we go.
There you go.
Nope, that's not.
Nope.
That ain't right.
It's like a second angle.
There we go. Am I getting another angle? Wait a second. Nope. I guess I'm gonna have to go with this angle. Something happened here on my camera. Let's see. Double check this real quick. I don't know why I have some. Oh, there it is. Okay.
There we go.
But let me just finish this real quick on Jordan Tyson. One more scout, fourth scout. Okay. There's nothing physically about him, size, speed, anything that sticks out. And he's been hurt. He was an enigma to me. He was an enigma to me. But this guy is one of the most listen to this. He's a 3-star recruit from Allen, Texas. You can see the quick twitch and the movement, and he can run, said a fourth scout. But this guy is one of the most non-competitive receivers I've done in a while. Body catcher, even when it's not contested. I've never seen anybody catch slants and just slide to the ground like this guy does. It's nuts. He's just not a tough dude. He doesn't make catches when bodies are around him. Very inconsistent. And Hines Ward was his coach at ASU, which is crazy because I know there's no way Hines is saying this is what we need here. I don't like him at all. He gets hurt all the time.
No, thank you. I'm out.
Yeah, I don't think he goes on to say, I don't think he's very tough. Okay. I mean, listen to this last quote. His brother actually was drafted by the Cavs in the draft. Tyson's brother is Jalen Daniels, who plays for the Cavs. Anyways, a fifth scout said, if he's healthy, he's really, really good, but they don't come out of there, ASU, real tough. He's going to have to show me he can be tough. So, I mean, this is a receiver who's considered to be a really good receiver, and there's a very good chance, Damon, that he falls to the 49ers. And the question is, do you take Jordan Tyson?
No.
I wouldn't either.
No. Can I give you a Josh Dubow bomb that made me go like, oh, look at that. I mean, I don't know where Josh comes up with this stuff, but Josh Dubow of the AP is he's got incredible statistics that he pulls up. He's got whatever spreadsheet he's got, however many terabytes of data he's got in his computer. It's always interesting. Here you go, Larry. We're 17 days away from the draft, but it's been 11,391 days since the 49ers last won the Super Bowl on January 29th, 1995. 11,391 days. That is the same amount of time. And I have no idea how we pulled this, but here we go. That is the same amount of time between that Super Bowl win and the JFK assassination.
Awesome. Wow. So Josh got a lot of free time on his hands.
Josh was either on the hash pipe this weekend. I don't know what, but I don't know where he came up with that one. But good God, that is the time
professional
between
tweeter.
The JFK assassination and the last Super Bowl is the same time between the Super Bowl that the Niners won in 95 and today. That's
crazy.
That's a lot. That's a lot to that's enough to ruin a 49er fan's day if you really want to talk about it. It really is. Larry, let's get to some of these supers and then we'll get into the couple other things that are sort of going on.
Before we're going to get into the supers, let's
one
jump into
more thing?
What happened?
One more thing.
What's that?
Do what you got to do. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We let's jump into our Prize Picks lineup for today. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app, and the reason that I like it is really it's simple. You're just picking more or less on player stats or even game outcomes, building your lineup, and you're in. No complicated stuff. Just what you think is going to happen in the game. Use code HMA, play $5 and get $50 in lineups instantly. Link is in the description. All right. Let's get into it. All right. Let me get this on the board. Hold on just a second. We're going to move stuff around here. We're going to change the screen here.
Good luck.
Yeah, seriously. Hold on a second. I got to pick the Prize Picks. Okay, hold on a second. Give me a sec. This is the first time I'm doing the Prize Picks lineup.
I'm starting tomorrow, so I'm going to use this as my crash course here, Larry. You better get it right.
I know. Okay, first I need to go to the overlay. Okay, let me go to my overlays. Hold on. You think I would be good at this after a while? Okay, here is the overlay.
You'd at least hope.
There's the overlay. And that's
what
not
the hell's going on there. There's a lot going on there, but okay, I can move my
hold
head.
Hold on.
I can move my head into this box, maybe. Here we go.
Okay, so wait a second. No. Here we go. Hold on.
Hi there.
We're changing the layout. Now we got us in the corner.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Now we're in the corner. Nobody puts Damon and Larry in the corner. Okay. Now I got to share the screen. Hold on this. Share the screen. Let me get my Prize Picks thing in there.
It's
Boom.
Smooth production value that people keep coming back for. That's what I would have told.
Right. There you go. Well, I told Kev, I said, hey, you're going to have me do this. Okay. So we shared the screen and
let's see. Okay. Give me an over on Kyle Schwarber.
Okay. So now, so what we're going to do is we're going to go baseball. Okay. So we got baseball right there. And then we're going to go down to the calendar. So we get all the games today. We'll go to the Giants and the Phils, who play tonight. And we'll open that. Now we've got this one. So let's go Andrew Painter. Do you like Andrew Painter of the Phillies less or more than 4.5 strikeouts?
Oh, against the Giants, they love striking out. I'll take the over on that.
Yeah, let's go more. And then on the Kyle Schwarber home runs, let's go with more. It's you can only go more. So we go right there on Kyle Schwarber's home runs.
Sure. Again, I don't love the Schwarber home run.
Well, of course,
only because of that the big wall he's got to get it over. But if there's ever a guy who can get it over, it's him.
Right. So we got our two players there. Okay. Then we got to go to
how much you putting on this, Larry?
Yeah, let's see. I got to go to my dollar amount, how much I'm betting. Where does it say? Pick two plays for two different where do I bet it?
I don't know, but I can feel people losing interest. So let's go.
Fuck that. Fuck them. This all that matters is that we do this. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Prize Picks. Great to see you. We'll get this next week. We do it. I promise you. On Friday, our Prize Pick segment.
Okay, will be 10. Okay, how do we change the money on here? I think where do we do this? We hit more.
What are you putting on that? You putting 20 on that?
Oh, here it is. Balance. Here we go. Where is the dollar amount on here? Picks must be. Oh, it's got to be from two different teams. That's why it's not letting us. Okay, so we'll get rid of this one, and we'll go to
give me a three. Give me a three-legger. Give me the Giants. Give me a three.
No, but there is nothing on the Giants, so we have to go to a different one. So we'll go to a different game. What games stand out to you? Is there anybody you like tonight? Or we can go NBA too. What's that?
What else is happening here tonight? Was that
Toronto and the Dodgers? You got everything. Let's go Dodgers, Toronto.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Sure. We got a little World Series matchup.
Shohei Ohtani. You can go more on half a hit.
Give me the more on Ohtani half a hit.
Okay, let's go more on Ohtani half a hit. There we go. Entry fee $10. Submit lineup. Here we go. Submit lineup. We have submitted the lineup. There it is. Lineup successfully submitted. There we go. Let's see it. View my lineup.
I'm feeling richer already, Larry.
So there you go. It's a 3-pick power play, $10 to win 70. Andrew Painter has got to have at least 5 Ks. Schwarber's got to hit one out, and Ohtani's got to get a single. If that happens, our $10 becomes 70. Thank you, Prize Picks.
Thank you.
So that wasn't that difficult.
We will see you tomorrow on the Plus Prize Picks. Looking forward to it. Look at this weird.
Hold on. There we go. Wait. Hey, we're back.
Hey, almost.
All right.
Almost. Right.
Yeah. So anyway, we're back in the regular layout, but thank you to Prize
There you go.
Picks. And there we go. Thanks to Prize Picks for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Wait a second. Where is our base overlay? Do we lose our base overlay?
I got it. We got it. We're back to where we need to be.
We don't have that up there though. Hold on. We picked the wrong base overlay, I think. Where is the Prize Picks moniker? It's not on there. Do we not have one for Krug and Bruce? Maybe we don't have one for Krug and Bruce yet.
I don't think we've got one yet. Again, this is all brand new, Larry.
All brand new. But thank you to Prize Picks, and I'm sure Prize Picks is going to look at this and be like, "What the heck are we doing?"
We're really glad we added these yin yang.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, hey, Prize Picks, can you make it any more difficult? No, it was actually pretty easy. All right, let's hit our super. Let's before we get out of here.
Supers and a couple of other things.
Yeah, we got a couple other things, but first, let's thank our sponsors and of course the Krug Show. Thank you to Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. Emeryville, Corte Madera, soon to open in Petaluma in 2026. We'll tell you exactly when. Also, thank you to Novato Chevrolet, voted best car dealership by the community on Nextdoor app. 2025 rated top car dealership by Carfax, family-owned dealership. Novato Chevrolet. Go see David. He's the top sales guy there. Also, thank you to Alomar Marina, alomarmarina.net. Float while you dine on the Sacramento River, 5999 Garden Highway. They're open Wednesday through Sunday. Get the shrimp tacos. And also thank you to Sharp Corners, Sports Cards, and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Anthony Catania's at 831-521-5264. Thank you, Anthony Catania.
Go to Ike's, eat at Ike's. You'll have a great sandwich at Ike's. You don't have to float anywhere to eat that sandwich. You can eat it right in your car if you need to. So there you go. Get to Ike's. And again, Habas.
And Habas Law, of course, brings us our supers, and we'll get to them right here. Here they are, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Thank you, Habas Law, for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Riker Trav, F and Larry, and friggin' Damon. Let's go. Love it. There we go.
Thank you.
Harry Johnson, 4704. 2 first-rounders, Pig and a Pickle coupons, and Ayuk for Myles Garrett. F you, Larry. Thank you, bro. We got this one. Harold.
The first rounders, you don't know. Pig and a Pickle, you know.
Harold McAllister. Krug, what do you think of Caden Curry, the defensive end from Ohio State? He had 11 sacks. He's not the fastest most athletic guy, but the hand usage is good. His toughness is good. I mean, if you had Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa, I wouldn't mind a late flyer, maybe an undrafted addition of Caden Curry. As I said, 11 sacks for the Buckeyes, and the motor runs hot. I do like the motor. If you put him with the Bosa brothers, that would be really something. 3 Ohio State guys on one line. Google is Skynet. Lowry, sorry for calling you out in the comments the other day. Thoughts on trying to poach one of Washington's tight ends for BA. Rumor is they like Lawrence Cager enough that they might cut Sanat or Bates. Well, I mean, Cager's interesting. Cager was a Georgia kid who's a receiver who kind of kept getting bigger. New York Giants took a flyer on him. Now he's considered to be a tight end, kind of a movement tight end. They do have Ben Sanat, who they drafted a couple years ago. Yes, I would take Ben Sanat in a heartbeat. Bates, not a Bates fan, but I like Sanat quite a bit, and I think that would be a good one. Fuji says, any credence that Ty Simpson goes number 1 over Mendoza?
No. Ty Simpson might not even be a first rounder.
Yeah. In fact, that might be one of the Niners' options.
Niners trade down.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners may let the Jets or Cardinals trade up with them to get into the top of the second round, to let those teams maybe get up to try to take Ty Simpson. I don't know if Ty Simpson's good or not. He started good. He's a 1-year starter. He started hot, then he cooled off, and that's why it's always risky to draft 1-year starters. Michael says, if Raheem Morris has any influence on pick 27, Avion Terrell could be the pick. Raheem knows him well from drafting and coaching A.J. Terrell in Atlanta. Yeah. I mean, I kind of think that if you want to say, like, I'm really a believer that the 49ers don't let the board come to them. that they really have a predetermined, idea of positions, and they got a real feel. They got a real desire to fill needs. They're not looking for the entire board. They're looking for the best wide receiver. They're not looking for the entire board. They're looking for the best whatever. Defensive end that can set the edge on first and second down and
I think
slide
that gets them
inside.
in trouble when they do that. I really do. It gets them in trouble.
But this is a situation where, corner, I kind of think when the Niners come up on the board, I'm looking at a board that could have Avian Terrell, could have Colton Hood, Brandon Cease, and others. Chris Johnson from San Diego State. These guys are all D'Angelo Pons, Keontae Scott. These guys are going to be on the board probably when the Niners pick at 27. And man, if you said, what do the Niners need? They need to get a great player. And I would take, once I saw D'Angelo Pons jumped 43.5 inches, I would take him, because when a guy jumps that well, he don't worry about being 5'9". It doesn't matter that the guy's 5'9" if the guy's got 40-inch vertical. If another guy who's 5'11's got 28-inch vertical, who's getting higher? Who's more competitive? Who's better? I'm taking D'Angelo Pons. To me, that would be the safest pick that the 49ers could do, would take a great corner like Pons. I'm not as big on AJ Terrell or Avian Terrell. But I do think Morris, we know Morris coached AJ Terrell. We have this one as well. Let's see. Did we get that one? Okay, we get this one. Here's another one here. Google is Skynet. I think they should look at Tristan Lee for offensive line. He played left tackle at Clemson. Blake Miller played right tackle. He has the strength to play left guard right away, and he has the length and feet to develop into a solid left tackle. I will say this. Clemson's never, ever had a first-round offensive lineman all the years of the program. Never. Thought that was kind of interesting. Justin's says, New York, Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade, and we're not part of any team's activities.
Will not be part of the team activities.
Will not be part of OTAs. Yeah. I don't think Lawrence is a fit for the Niners, but he's a hell of a player for sure. David Real Roby, flyer on free agent Jimmy Ward, JJ for $9 million. JJ for $9 million, no. And flyer on free agent Jimmy Ward, I would take a shot, but I think he's got legal entanglements, and I don't think there's any chance that the Niners are going to touch him until he's free of those legal entanglements. From what I can,
I agree.
That just doesn't seem like their move. Ricky isn't going nowhere. Source, trust me, bro. All right.
Hey, you don't know. You don't.
I'll say this. They've had plenty of opportunity to say he ain't going anywhere, and they haven't. And they've added receivers, and they're still showing interest in receivers. And he's probably the only one that has any trade value of the receivers. And if you're going for Omar Cooper, some receivers getting traded. So I'll say this: if the Niners go receiver in round 1, you can bank that Ricky's going to be traded. Because there's no way they're going the Mike Evans and Christian Kirk and Ricky and the first round pick. Come on, that's too many assets for a receiver. They're going to move. They're going to make a move. We'll see. Fuji says, would NFL ever try to make the draft order via lottery? Well, they've talked about it, but it's already a perfect situation. The first best record gets the worst pick. The worst record gets the best pick. How do you?
Right.
To me, it seems very. I wouldn't mess with that. I really would not.
And here's the thing too. I know people try to take one sport's problem and project it onto another sport. The NFL does not have a tanking problem that is anywhere in the same realm as the NBA's tanking problem. And the dirty little secret that nobody wants to talk about is fans love tanking. Fans love tanking. Fans love prospects. They love drafts. And tanking isn't nearly the villain of sports interest that it is laid out to be by a lot of pissed off writers who have to sit through shitty seasons because a team is tanking.
I don't know if I believe that. Here's why I don't believe that. It's like the old saying, if everybody did this move, would it be okay? And if every team, you can't allow tanking, because if every team tanked, you have no league. I'm listening to JD do a segment on KMBR the other day. It was about 3 weeks ago. And he's like looking at the Warriors playoff situation. And how pathetic is this? He's like, well, the Warriors are going to make the playoffs no matter what, because all the teams between them that are under them are all tanking.
Right.
So
yeah, there's no one coming up behind them. There is no caboose to chase the Warriors right now.
But I mean, if everybody's tanking, I mean, there's a reason that the NBA Finals get lower ratings than the World Baseball Classic. I mean, there's a reason. Fuji Simeon says, "Congrats, Larry, as SI Wildcat
in the NBA Finals. They aren't the ones tanking. Why is the tanking rating affect their rating? I don't know. I just think it's.
But I mean, look at the ratings of the league. The ratings for the league right now are in the fucking toilet. I mean, nobody's watching the NBA. There's no urgency. Here's the thing. There's no urgency to the NBA right now. When's the last?
I like the NBA.
I like basketball too. It has nothing to do with that. What is it? What was the last time there was an NBA game that you were just like, I gotta see that?
Last night. That was it, because Curry was back finally, and why did they bring him off the bench? Fucking start him. It's ridiculous. But anyways,
really, what did that thing get last night? I bet you
no idea.
Ratings.
No idea.
Fuji says, "Congrats, Larry, as SI Wildcats alums crushed Reardon alums in annual Easter weekend golf event. The evil cat machine couldn't be stopped." Well, what can we say? You know, our guys are used to playing more golf, I guess. I don't know what to say.
More country club dads at SI than Reardon, huh?
I guess, though both schools are private schools. I don't know if you can call yourself. Can you call yourself the underdog if you're just the dumber private school? I mean, that's basically. That's basically it, right? I mean, there's SI and then there's the dumber private school. If you don't get into SI, you got to have a fallback. You know, I mean, let's look at it that way. Thomas Selman, how was SRQ? It's the best. I love Saint Armand.
So, yeah, that's he's asking, how was my trip to Sarasota? It was great, dude. That sand on the sandy beaches. It's like cornstarch. It's even lighter powder than flour. It is just the most beautiful beaches out there. The St. Armand Square.
Where was this?
Sarasota, Florida. We visited Mom.
I don't know my Florida. Is this west coast of Florida or is this east coast of Florida?
Yeah, it's sitting right on the Gulf, and it's about an hour south of Tampa, Larry.
Is this the Redneck Riviera?
No. That you got to be up towards the
Defuniak Springs,
the Panhandle. You got to be close. You got to be closer to Arkansas to be in the Redneck Riviera. This is old Florida people. So here's the thing. It's a big spring break destination for like high schoolers and old people. Like if you're in your 20s, if you're in college, you're going to like, Fort Lauderdale or Miami or
those places just look awful, by the way. I mean,
Daytona was a terrible spring break. We did that when I was in college, and it's like playing in traffic. There's too many cars on the beach. But this is the most gorgeous beach that you could ever come up with. And we had great weather when we were there. Nice. Here's the coolest thing about Sarasota. And my boys are now spoiled because of this. We went to 2 different restaurants. And when you get the kids' meal is served on an upside down Frisbee. And the kid then gets to keep the Frisbee. And so the boys now think whenever they go to the restaurant, they're going to get a Frisbee. So, they're going to be ruined the next time they go out to eat in San Francisco and they don't get a Frisbee. But we came back with 4 Frisbees from Florida that we did not have when we landed in Sarasota. So thanks for the Frisbees. Thanks for the beautiful powdered sand. Weather was great. It was beautiful.
Humid? No,
it was
Florida.
Beautiful. No, it was hot. It was warm. It was beautiful. I mean, it was perfect. The weather was pretty much perfect while we were there. It was great.
Pool time, ocean time. You get
pool time, ocean time. We had both, Larry. Both.
Got it. You didn't have to make any heroic saves, right?
No, I'll tell you what. The kids.
The ocean can be scary. The ocean can be scary.
But I'll tell you, the ocean can be scary. The Gulf is just like hardly a wave, total flat, like beautiful Tahoe. Water. You walk out 50 feet into the Gulf. And you are, somewhere around mid-thigh. It's very, very shallow. So
nice.
The boys had a great time. Well, great time.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Wife had a great time. I had a really good time. I'm not a big beach guy, but I had a great time. I really did. It was a nice little family getaway. Fun was had.
Just you, the kids, and mom, or your sister go too?
No, so my sister and mom both live in that area, so we got to see them both.
Ah, nice. Fuji Simeon says the only good thing about Giants baseball right now is to pick against them, i.e., the over on the opposing pitcher total strikeouts.
That's one of the things that Larry and I will talk about here after we get going with all of our supers. Fuji, thank you.
Yeah, there you go. We got this one from Dimitrov. Niners have an unrealistic plan regarding the board. They hope for a crazy steal, and if not, they pick what they plan to reach for. Yeah, I mean, Lynch last year talking about how he almost traded up for Mikael Williams, and then Mikael Williams had, one sack all year? I mean, you almost traded up for a defensive end that had one sack. Now, granted, he's really good against the run, but the number one job of a defensive end is to sack the quarterback.
Trade all your freaking picks for Myles Garrett. Done.
I mean, the Niners have got to start being better in the draft. It's really as simple as that. I kind of feel like Shanahan can probably stay as long as he wants, but I think Lynch, is much more. There's much more pressure on Lynch. They have to get this draft right. If they don't, they're not going to be competitive with Seattle and the Rams. Seattle and the Rams are moving by the Niners. If the Niners don't have a phenomenal draft where they draft some really great players, they're going to have a hard time. They're really going to have a hard time closing that gap. All right. We are done with our supers. Thank you to Habas Law, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Thank you, Habas Law. They paid last Saturday for all the pet adoption fees down at the San Jose Animal Care Center. Thank you to Habas Law for their involvement and continued dedication to our community. 1-800-INJURED. If you need a good lawyer, they are great lawyers, great PI attorneys. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. HabasLaw.com on the web. And thank you, Habas Law, for sponsoring.
A couple of other things, Larry. It was great to see Steph back, and he looked in rhythm and was hitting big shots. Unfortunately, he missed what would have been the game winner at the very end of the game. But good to see Curry back after missing like 20-plus games. But the Warriors lost because they're short, and they will continue to lose any significant game that they're in for the remainder of this year because they're short. Warriors are a poorly built basketball team, period.
Warriors. Hey, Warriors, go away. Go away. I mean, seriously, this is the worst season in Warrior history. It's almost over, thankfully.
I don't know about that, but it is.
It's the worst season in Warrior history. Here's why. Because there were expectations. They blew the offseason. They basically punted on the entire offseason waiting for Jonathan Kuminga and then held him up to the deadline and then traded him out for injured Porzingis, who played one game and sat for 17. And then Steph is obviously at the very end and is a shadow of what he used to be. So
Butler got hurt. Draymond got old. Everyone is short.
Draymond's old. Kerr's done. I mean, the whole thing is just. It's a tire fire, man.
It's a little bit of a mess for sure.
Oh, it's awful. I can't stand. I hate watching pods. His overinflated ego and opinion of his game is just tough to stomach. This is the least likable Warrior team in a long time. I don't like Kerr anymore. I don't like these players anymore. I don't like this mix anymore. Now they're talking about LeBron and Kawhi. Blow it up and start anew. Trade everybody away and start fresh. That's a better plan than trying to partner with the. So now all Warrior fans are supposed to root for the player that they hate the most in LeBron James, the guy who cost the Warriors a title that was bullshit, now is going to be on the team, and we're supposed to root for this geriatric group. I hate this. I like the Warriors better when it was Bobby Sura and orange jerseys.
Wow.
They're sucked right now. They're awful. They're a terrible watch. They've got terrible chemistry. Draymond thinks he's a star. He's done. Curry's clearly done. He was great last night.
Done.
He is done. He is done. He is absolutely done because you have to play 82 games. You have to play a schedule. This isn't a schedule. He hasn't played in weeks. Of course he was going to play well. You can't. This isn't basketball. You don't get to sit for 5 weeks and play one game. Of course he's going to be good. He's a great player who's just old. But guess what? You got to play the schedule, man. And he can't play the schedule anymore. So they're done. They're done. They got nothing.
They're competing for title era is done. There's no doubt about that. And they got caught waiting. They got caught waiting for Kuminga to either be perfect or find the perfect trade. They didn't really find that. I think Porzingis is an upgrade and he's a better fit, but they got caught waiting. They got caught playing the waiting game for Giannis, which never happened. They invested into Jimmy Butler at the wrong time, and Butler's hurt now. They held on to Draymond. They
traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul.
Yeah, they really screwed up the last few years, and this is the year where the bill came to the table. There's no doubt.
Nico Mannion, Justinian Jessup, supposedly his genius, his kid that's supposedly this great evaluator, that he was such a good evaluator that he had to get rid of all of his actually proven evaluators and put his kid in the front office. What do they got? Who have they drafted? They're an embarrassment. Joe Lacob was hailed as a greater owner than Eddie D. What? He is luckiest. He is the luckiest owner in the history of Bay Area sports. He bought did he draft Steph? No. He bought a team that just drafted Steph and then watched Steph win titles and tried to delude himself into thinking they were his titles. Look, and now he's got his kid in the general manager spot with yes man Mike Dunleavy, and he's doing it himself and he can't do it.
I think Joe did a lot of good things, but then he did so many things that weren't good that he's right now back to even, and it just, Chase Center's way too expensive. Anyway.
Oh, it's awesome. It's a great arena, but nobody's going to want to pay $60 for 3 beers to watch Pat Spencer.
They're short. They are a short basketball team, and you can't be short in basketball, which, by the way,
good either. I mean, who's good on the team?
Well, Michigan, I think, is going to win the national championship tonight, although I will say this, UConn is just stubborn enough, just nasty enough. I hope we get a good national championship game because, Arizona laid down and died in the Final Four.
Oh, I was happy to see that. The Arizona crowd is so arrogant. They think that they had the greatest team of all time. I've never seen anybody the last couple games that Arizona's played. It feels just like a coronation. Like they feel they're not going to be denied. Well, it was just awesome to watch Tommy Lloyd get slapped down.
Yeah, I thought it was sort of Arizona's tournament to lose, and
a lot of people did.
They did. Although, that's the thing.
They got destroyed.
They did. They got hammered. Okay. Big Sharks game. All Sharks games left are big Sharks games. They got the Chicago Blackhawks, got Kings and Predators. There's a lot of jockeying for that final wild card going on right there. So that's kind of interesting. At least you got Macklin Celebrini in our lives here in the Bay Area. But let's talk about how in baseball, there are officially enough games in the year to where it isn't always about whether you're winning or losing. It is how you are playing. How are your innings? How are you approaching? How's your plate approach? Sometimes your starter can get teed off on, and that's just the way it goes in baseball. But man, the guys in the lineup, they're at least getting it done. The most important San Francisco Giants are the least performing San Francisco Giants right now. What a disappointing start to the year for this team, for their players, for Matt Chapman, for Devers, for everyone that's supposed to matter on this team. None of them matter. They don't have a first baseman.
What the
hit a little.
How do you not have a first baseman?
Really matter.
I'm so disgusted by the Giants and their fans sometimes. Last year I was like, hey, why don't you go after Rhys Hoskins? People are like, they don't need Rhys Hoskins. They have Wilmer Flores. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Is every Giants fan just high at this point? Wait, you don't need Rhys Hoskins because you have Wilmer Flores. This year, I'm like, why don't they go after a Pavin Smith? Go get yourself a first baseman. They don't need a first baseman. They don't need a first baseman. Well, guess what? They do need a first baseman. They don't have one. They don't have a first baseman. They're playing Casey Schmidt at first base. They're 3-7. They've had 8 barrels this year, last in Major League Baseball. They've got a 3.7 barrel percentage, last in Major League Baseball. They've got a 305 expected slugging percentage, last in Major League Baseball. They have a 266 XW WOBA, last in MLB. They've got a 308 XW Woba Acon last in MLB. I'm just fucking with you on these stats because these are all advanced stats. They're basically last in all these advanced stats. They've scored 26 runs in 10 games. That's 2.6 runs per game. Yes, I'm a math genius. You can't beat anybody scoring 2 runs a game. And it's like, you know what? I'm so sick and tired of the army of Giants yes men. Just shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know baseball. You don't know what you're watching. You're a Giants fan and you're a fucking idiot. They've been outscored by 25 runs in the first 10 games of the season. Okay. The Tony Z era.
At least they got an experienced manager to get him through it, Larry.
The Dodgers last year scored 825 runs, second most in MLB. And what did they do? They spent $240 million to add Kyle Tucker. The Giants last year scored 705 runs, 17th in MLB. And what did they do? They signed Harrison Bader and Luis Ariz. And while the Dodgers are committing $240 million to their purchase, the Giants committed $32.5 million to their purchase. You get what you pay for. LA's scored 54 runs in this season. The Giants have scored 26, less than half. That is fucking embarrassing. To score less than half the runs of the Dodgers, 54 runs to 26 runs. It's like, how many times? You know how tired I am of complaining that the Giants can't hit? How many times are the Giants going to leave themselves short offensively before we just say, that's it, we quit? I can't watch this anymore. The Giants can't hit a lick. And then by the time it comes to fit, get a new outfielder, it's like, well, what we really need is we need to get Jung-Hoo Lee out of center field. We need a defensive center fielder. So you delude your fucking selves into saying we need to go add Harrison Bader at $10 million because he plays better defense when you can't fucking hit a lick.
Well, and here's the thing. And the guys who got a hit, unfortunately, all that responsibility basically falls on Rafael Devers, who's 211 with 1 home run and 2 RBI. Now, I do think he will eventually become the back of his baseball card. But what I don't think is Rafael Devers is actually 29 years old. He's got, I might be 33 written all over him. I mean, I don't believe this is I don't think you can really say that Lovello is the problem because your players got to do something. Ooh. And these guys have done nothing. Tony, the freaking the manager. Vitello. Is it Lovello? Patello? Who cares?
Tony Vitello. Yeah, you might not be good at this at all. Yesterday.
You know who might not be good at this at all? Buster Posey. That's your problem.
No, I don't think that's the problem. I really don't. I think the problem is the fact that the Giants don't spend any money. They're in this mode now where they just don't spend. It's like you're rich and you don't spend. By the way, what the hell is Matt Chapman thinking, stealing, getting thrown out at second, down 3 runs in the 9th inning?
What's he doing?
I mean, it's like, dude, I thought you were supposed to be a smart veteran player.
Right. You're the one guy who can't do that.
This is a guy who looked across the diamond and told Casey Schmidt, catch the fucking ball. Hey, Matt, steal the fucking base. I mean, Jesus.
Or better yet,
don't.
That stolen base is irrelevant. Stay on first, and hopefully a crooked number goes up. You're not a difference, even if you're in scoring position at that point in the baseball game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
Hey, it's Masters Week, Larry. It is Masters Week, though, and I do love the Masters. Everyone loves the Masters. So we got that at least going for us.
I do love the Masters, though. This year, if you tune in on Thursday and Friday expecting to see it on CBS, I think you're going to be disappointed. Isn't it on Amazon now?
You better get your Peacock or your Paramount Plus or whatever.
You better get your freaking code, and you better copy and paste and link and this and that. My daughter lives in Atlanta now, and she said that it's so hard to get tickets to the Masters.
Oh yeah, they've really cut back on the secondary market. I saw how a 4-round pass is going for $16,000. So.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the hardest ticket in sports to get, bar none, and they're making it even harder.
By the way, on the Devers front, would you rather have Rafael Devers or James Tibbs? Did you see what James Tibbs is doing in the Dodgers minor league system? He had like 7 home runs this weekend. The Giants traded James Tibbs and prospects to the Red Sox for Rafael Devers. They took on over $250 million of Devers contract, and they sent that prospect. Devers has posted a 786 OPS in 100 games. I mean, it's just been bad. He has not hit the ball. And now Tibbs, who the Red Sox threw to the Dodgers in another trade later last summer, now this guy Tibbs is at Oklahoma City, the Dodgers AAA, and he's absolutely the hottest. He's hottest fish grease right now. I mean,
Well, how about
he's like the hottest guy in the sport right now.
Joey Weimer? Joey Weimer was a San Francisco Giant. He was on their roster, and they let him go because of their overcrowded outfield.
And where is he? I saw this the other day, too. Where is he?
He's with the Washington Nationals, and he tied the major league record for consecutive safe appearances on base. I think he went 10 for 10, or, he's hitting 476 with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. The guys that the Giants had no room for is in Washington. Now he's probably going to come crashing down to earth. He's just a guy, but what an embarrassing, another one who's clear, who would you rather have? That guy who has already had a better 10-game stretch than any 10-game stretch in Jung-Hoo Lee's career, or Jung-Hoo Lee for $30 million a year, whatever the fuck they're paying him.
Oh, how about this? Here's James Tibbs, by the way, if you want to see this. Look at this guy. This guy is killing the baseball. He's a lefty. He's not the biggest guy.
5th home run of the year.
This guy's killing it.
Celebrating.
2-2 All right, but he's a minor leaguer. I don't give a shit about a minor leaguer. This Joey Weimer guy's doing it for the Washington Nationals.
Way gone.
Yeah, but this guy Tibbs, I think, is probably more of the real deal.
Jones, Nevada hanger bar.
But I mean, come on.
Tibbs
I mean,
with his 3rd.
the one time, I mean, it's like the Giants have such terrible luck. The one time they moved a prospect in the Bobby Evans era, it wound up being Brian Reynolds, who was like a very good Pirates outfielder for years. And the Giants, it's like the Giants, not only can they not handicap the draft, right, they can't handicap their own players. They don't even know.
Hold on. Here's the thing. When you have Casey Schmidt at first base, bring up Eldridge. I don't give a shit. Just bring up Eldridge. What are you doing? Bring him up. Do it. You need another first baseman other than that guy. And if Eldridge is going to do anything, go ahead. Do that.
Last one here. Fuji says, Larry, a future bottom of the pint could be, instead of drink for every Giants home run, could be instead drink for every time they record a hit or a strikeout.
I mean, it would be a couple drinks.
Be drunk. They had 14 Ks the other day. Could you imagine if I'm slamming beers for every strikeout? The bottom of the pint, we'll have to come up with a new idea. That was a John Lund.
Did you ever do the Century Club in college?
Which is a 100 shots in a
100 shots of beer. You do it, yeah.
Get you really trashed is what
you do. Yeah, there you go.
It sounds like nothing. It's like it's a shot of beer every minute for 100 minutes, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. By the end, you're trashed.
Hammered.
Just hammered. I mean, it's not even, I don't even know what to say. All right.
Adults should not do that. But thanks to all of you, Larry, you could tell we both missed each other. We just went for 2 hours. That was fun. Great to see you again, man. Thanks to everyone for watching. Hit like and subscribe. Even more important, hit that notify button. And whenever we go live, you'll get to know about that. And great to see everyone again. Thanks so much for hanging out with us this morning.
No question about that. Damon, maybe Wednesday night, a little Niners Nightly on the radio, possibly. I don't know if Wednesday night is
I think we can do that.
If it is, we will be doing Wednesdays. A big Niner day, so I'll be down in Santa Clara, and then I'll be back for Niners Nightly. So we'll talk.
What's going on Wednesday?
Local pro day.
Oh, so a collection of guys who will never play in the NFL will be jogging. Great.
Well, it's funny. It's like Northern California, the local pro day, there's not a lot of great players. Why? Because we have UC Davis and all these different, kind of smaller schools, Sac State. But if you have the local pro day and you're like the Saints guy or the, Panthers or one of these guys in the more of a hotbed of college football, it's basically everybody that's went to school within like 150 miles of your facility
Right.
gets to come. So
not a lot of San Jose State Spartans about to jump.
No, we're not the hotbed of college football talent that you would think.
Nor are we the hotbed of NBA talent right now or Major League talent. So go Niners.
There you go. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Hey, the links are in the description for all of the sponsors. Shop the sponsors to support the show. Thanks to Damon. Thanks to all of you. Damon, I will give you the final word before we pull the ripcord.
Just very nice to be back, Larry. I got to tell you, normally I go on vacation and major breaking news happens. I went to Sarasota. Nothing really happened. So it was a good time to get away.
You know, I put the name Max INHer in an envelope. The thing about it is I got the Max and I got the IN, but the H'er didn't fit. I needed 2 envelopes.